The backstory to Ayrton and Gabrielle's relationship breakdown with Daddy was that Daddy and Mummy were into relationships for a total of 11 years, had Gabrielle in 2010 and Ayrton in 2012 during the second relationship. Then, on February 13, 2015, their mother took the family car, went to get them from school and didn't return, didn't disclose their whereabouts, didn't give any indication of what her intentions were or why for the following days. Eventually, she allowed them to spend time with Daddy under supervision. A few days later, Daddy comes to find out that she had taken Ayrton and Gabrielle into the local women's refuge in Grimsby, claiming to be a victim of domestic abuse violence, where she stayed for 2 months, despite Daddy moving out of the family home in order for Ayrton and Gabrielle to return into familiar surroundings. I guarantee you that the women's refuge in Grimsby did not conduct an investigation of any level somewhat satisfactory, because there's enough evidence to discredit her, and all of it will be published at www.justiceforabrew.online in the coming weeks. She did so to gain funding for legal fees and gain leverage with children's services, police, courts, schools, etc. Whilst in there, she asked for full control of Ayrton and Gabrielle, to which I responded with mediation, that gradually resulted on me having Ayrton and Gabrielle for 46% of the time. She denied 50% because she didn't want to lose welfare benefits. This remained in place until July 2016, when I began drifting away from her to live my life in peace and away from her erratic drama, which is explained in more detail on the published clip named July 2016 Their Mum Disrupts Contact Part 1 on overlay. She avoided mediation and I took further legal action, managing to regain the 46% shared custody, once again denied 50% to prevent their mother from losing welfare benefits. It wasn't more than 5 months until she disrupted shared custody, as explained on the published clip labeled April 2017 Third Shared Custody Disruption Part 1 on overlay. I managed to resume previous shared custody arrangements with the help of their school, but only to have her attempting another disruption less than 3 weeks later, as explained on published clip labeled May 2017 Fourth Disruption to Shared Custody Part 1 on overlay. I then found out Gabrielle was beaten by her mom and thus why she attempted another disruption on the day after they were due back. I reported it, but because she went into Grimsby's women's refuge making claims of domestic abuse, although without any merit, and because she had been calling children's services throughout shared custody period to imply that Ayrton and Gabrielle were in harm's way, again with no merit to her claims, but when local authority took over the case, they presumed her claims to be true without asking for evidence of any sorts. Made assumption Daddy was coercing Gabrielle into saying that she was beaten by her mom, didn't gather evidence of her several injuries, presumed Gabrielle's statement to be coaxed due to the use of terminology too articulate for her age, despite later realizing she is very articulate by nature, also confirmed by her school at the time, and turned against Daddy when he exposed the mistakes they made to higher authorities. Whilst up to then, Daddy's character was smeared by their mom only. From then on it was also children's services and higher authorities whom went to extremely irrational lengths to smear his character in attempt to justify their wrongful methodology. To date, going to the lengths of falsely alleging that Daddy had Asperger's syndrome, whilst ignoring mom's multi-personality disorder diagnosis, also ignoring children's services' disregard to safeguarding concerns in the mom's care, including Ayrton nearly being kicked from school and Gabrielle having constant meltdowns, partly due to losing all that time with Daddy, of being punished and grounded for wanting to be with Daddy, partly due to other abuse and neglect. They ignored an independent expert assessor manipulating an assessment, disregarding red flags from mom. I will also show you evidence of Ayrton and Gabrielle repeatedly asking to have half their time in Daddy's custody up until 2020, then on Gabrielle becoming unjustifiably afraid of Daddy after having no contact, whilst mom controls narrative, and after her mom claims she became petrified after coming across Daddy, spending 20 minutes with him in May 2021, using those false claims to get an order forbidding Daddy from being within 100 meters of Ayrton and Gabrielle, or messaging Gabrielle until she turns 18. What she doesn't know is that I recorded the whole encounter, which will also be published in the future. This recording will also show you Gabrielle being concerned with her mom because she'd been starving herself, having lay-ins and leaving Ayrton and Gabrielle to feed and fend for themselves. All of this is supported by concrete evidence and to be published on our website at www.justiceforabrew.online and certain social media platforms that will allow it. Ayrton is currently having difficulties at school, reporting to his teacher back in March 2023 that he is petrified, anxious, miserable, scared and nervous, but nothing was done to help or safeguard him. His school even denies the existence of this report displayed on overlay. There's so much more to expose, but for now and to prevent jeopardizing the ultimate goal, this is all I'll risk sharing. To help viewers better understand our story, at least 95% of clips describing events are in chronological order. Please help us raise awareness by sharing or subscribing. Help us get justice and arrangements that are more rational and beneficial to Ayrton and Gabrielle. Their mom keeps misleading others to believe she has tried extremely hard to get Ayrton and Gabrielle to have a relationship with Daddy. But the dark, disturbing truth is quite the opposite. She has gone to extreme lengths, compulsive lying, even committing crimes to disrupt their relationship, and all just to force Daddy into being friends with her, despite all she has and continues to put him through. She has spewed this victim narrative for over 8 years to dozens, maybe hundreds, using a soft voice and her charm. And many remain unaware of the disturbing truth that she grounds and punishes Ayrton and Gabrielle for wanting a relationship with Daddy, that she constantly diverts their attention away from responding to Daddy's letters for over 2 years, that she coerced a former partner to spend over $50,000 on smearing Daddy's character, that she admitted by proxy that she donates everything Daddy sends to Ayrton and Gabrielle. Despite complaining of not getting the money she wants from Daddy, she doesn't mention the school reports from before and after she gained full custody that show Ayrton and Gabrielle were better off with Daddy. Not just slightly, but extremely better off, and much more. It's all coming out, and the most disturbing and shocking: Human Right and Disability Equality Act violating hearts, crimes committed by accredited professionals, as well as whom I'm defending myself from, and much more will be revealed in due time and chronologically.